Welcome to Create Your Own Economy podcast, the weekly podcast that equips you with the know-hows, the strategies, tools, and resources to create your own economy, grow your business, and live the life you desire. If you have not done so, hit the subscribe button so you'll never miss an episode. Are you ready to transform your understanding of customer behavior to increase your profit? We are so thrilled to have a special guest, Cierra, with us today. And we will delve into the fascinating wheel of emotions. I was so fascinated when we were talking about a week ago. And we are going to explore how it influences customers' journey to decision making. And I know for every entrepreneur, that is important. You know, we want our potential customers to make decisions quickly so that we can have, we can make sales and also, again, make profit and the business will grow. So hello, everybody, and welcome. I am your host, Bunmi Ajibade, and I want to specially welcome Cierra. So welcome, Cierra.
Thank you, Bunmi. I'm so excited to be here with you. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I'm really stoked to be able to share this information with people. It was something that when I learned about it, the person was only talking about it from the idea of how you build your offers. And I saw the connection between not only how you build your offer, but also how you do your marketing on social media, how you might build your paid marketing versus your organic, and then how you can use and leverage this to help people make a better decision when they buy so that they become incredible customers to work with. Because realistically, there's only two emotions that people ever buy from or make the decision to change from. And if you sell somebody when they're outside of those two emotions, they're probably not going to be great customers. So I'm so excited to talk about all of this with you guys and to share this knowledge so that you can be empowered as you're building out your offers and your marketing and your sales online. I can't wait to watch business owners all over the world grow with this knowledge.
Oh, thank you. Thank you really for really wanting to share. I mean, this is really amazing. And you know what? Let me tell you a little bit about Cierra. Really, you really want to listen because this woman is amazing. So Cierra has helped over 350 businesses build their audiences and groups on Facebook, resulting in consistent and predictable 5 to 7 figure per month with smaller audiences of highly qualified leads. She's a featured speaker and the author of Not a Sales Book. I need to get my hand on that. She's a wife of 19 years to an Army veteran and a mother of 5 kids. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know how she does that. Maybe she will give us a tip. And one of the kids being a brain tumor survivor. So you can see that she has gone through a lot and still able to build a business and most importantly, to support others to build profitable businesses. Cierra is passionate about supporting industry experts to get their voices heard by the people who need them most with high organic visibility and engagement. And one of the things that also fascinated me about Cierra is that she launched her business at the height of the shutdown and hit 100,000 collected in the first 6 months. And it has since grown to over 600,000.
Oh, it's actually bigger than that at this point.
At this point.
I'm like, that number is old.
So let us update that number. and serving over 1,200 entrepreneurs. And she just said it has grown more than that. And her business mission, her company's mission is to bring organizations to this too much information age and connect humans with the experts they need most at the right time, inspiring hope and success in every entrepreneur. Can you imagine how we all need somebody? We need somebody to help us right now, and we don't know where to go to get that expert. So Cierra is there to support us. So thank you again, Cierra, for joining us.
Absolutely. I'm so stoked. I didn't know you were going to read all of that and talk about all of that. So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Let people know where you are, who you are, and that you are the authority in whatever it is that you'll be talking about. So let's start with this. What really inspired you to start your business, and even at the height of the shutdown? What was the inspiration?
So the inspiration for me to start my business at the height of the shutdown, it actually had nothing to do with the shutdown itself. For me, during that time, we'd actually had an even bigger trauma. Like, the shutdown was nothing for us. It didn't really affect us. We were already staying home and kind of quarantining ourselves. There we go. So we were quarantining ourselves during shutdown already, before they ever shut things down. And the reason was because the year prior, we found out my son had a brain tumor, and my son was 11 years old at the time. And the way that we found out was he was in the kitchen and he was cooking, and he ended up picking up a hot pan with his bare hands and got 2nd and 3rd degree burns on his fingers and palms. Now, he had been cooking for a couple of years, so it wasn't like anything for us to be concerned about when he was in there, because he'd cooked so many times by himself, and He was just making grilled cheese, which is a really easy thing for an 11-year-old to do. And so he had already been trained on that. He had done it hundreds of times before. And then suddenly, I heard his sister behind us, and she was like, Israel, are you okay? Israel, did you burn yourself? And so I'd tap my husband. I was like, hey, will you go check on that? Because I knew his sister was mad at him, and she would not talk to him for any reason during that time. And so she was talking to him. So he went in there to check, and it was really quiet. Nobody was saying anything. So a couple minutes later, I got up and I go in the kitchen, and to my horror, I look, and my husband is holding my son's hands over the sink, and the skin on his hands looked like egg noodles on his fingers and his palms on both hands. And I was just horrified, and it was deadly, eerily silent. And then all of a sudden it was everything was moving in slow motion, but then my son snapped to, and he started screaming. And so we didn't know what was happening. We'd never seen anything like this before. And we ended up going to the hospital. And at some point we had to drive 30 minutes one way to a hospital. At some point I asked my husband, I was like, I think this could have been a seizure. He could have had a seizure, because that's the only thing that really made sense in my mind, because in a seizure, you're not really there. But I've never seen a seizure like that. And so just to spread awareness, I love to share this story and talk about it. Crazy to use the word love in that situation, but it's like most people have never heard of what's called focal seizures. And in a focal seizure, a person is checked out mentally. So it seems like they're just ignoring you, or it seems like they're not listening to you, but they're actually not there consciously. Their body is still operating on whatever the brain had programmed into it, but their consciousness, it's like they're asleep. They're gone. And so he had checked out. He had this focal seizure, picked up this hot pan, got 2nd and 3rd degree burns. We ended up being in and out of hospitals multiple times a week for several months. And so he actually ended up having brain surgery for his brain tumor, the week before. It was March 6th of 2020. And it was the week before they shut everything down and would only allow one parent to be in the hospital. So both my husband and I were able to be there. We were so blessed. It's silly to say this for brain tumor surgery, but we were really blessed that we were able to be there in the hospital with him. Hospital. And so he also ended up having 4 skin graft surgeries. And so he'd had 3 skin graft surgeries prior to his brain surgery. It was actually more prevalent or more important for for them to do the skin graft surgeries because he could lose all of his nerve endings ability to feel if they didn't take care of that first.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to make sure they saved the feeling on his hands. So they took care of his hands first and then the brain surgery. And it's crazy to think that the brain tumor was less important than the skin graft. Yeah. And so since his surgery, praise God, he has been seizure-free ever since. He has been off of medication. The very next year, he took his last dose of medication. He's been medication-free and seizure-free. When he was 11, he was like, right around here, like up to like my chin or whatever. And now he is taller than me. His feet are bigger than mine. His feet are bigger than his dad's. I think he's going to be taller than his dad. And he's been seizure-free. He is strong. He is healthy. I'm just so blessed. I don't know why out of all the people who have brain tumors, most of them do not survive. And the doctors actually told us when they gave us the diagnosis, and we held on to those words. It's like, if you had to have any kind of brain tumor, he's got the best one, because they said it was a benign brain tumor. And so we were so blessed that it was such a simple procedure. We were so blessed. It was such a simple surgery. He was in one day and home the next for his brain surgery. Seems crazy to think that our technology has grown so much. We were so blessed to be born at a time like this and have that happen. So I actually ended up in that trauma of all the stuff happening with my son, the first couple months, and I didn't know what was going to happen. I honestly didn't know if he would survive, but I would never speak that out loud. I would be like, he's going to live. He's going to have an amazing life. I was always speaking life for myself, for my family, for everyone around us. I was always speaking life. And then I would go into my closet and cry, and I would come back out and encourage my kids and tell them, I remember this one day I came out and I was like, you can do and be whatever you want in life as long as you pursue it with all of your might. And then it hit me like a punch to the gut that they're sitting here watching people like Michael Jordan and Mr. Beast and a lot of these musical artists that they really enjoyed listening to back then. This was years ago, so I'm not going to name some of their names because they're not even relevant now. But they were sitting here watching all of these other people succeed. And I recognized in that moment, it was third-hand knowledge, and I wasn't showing them firsthand. And if my kids didn't see it firsthand, they would probably think that those people had an upper leg on them. And they don't. It's like when you hear those people tell their story, they were the first in their family to ever do something. And I thought, I need to show my kids firsthand. And so that was when I started pursuing my business, and I was not wildly successful. I made pretty much no money in the first few months. And it wasn't until I joined, there was a decision, there was this pivotal turning point. And it was like 2 weeks after my son's brain surgery, I was enrolled in a college course for social media marketing and digital advertising, which was garbage. College taught almost nothing. It was all stuff I already knew. It was basically like how to use the platform. And I'm like, I know how to use the platform. What in the world? I'm like, I grew up with the platform. The platform was created after I was born. Like, I've got this. And then the other one that I joined was a video marketing course. And then the third one that I joined, so the first one was $2,000. The second one was like $500. The third one I joined was a mastermind, and it cost me $10,000 to join that. And that was a pretty hefty price, but I had just fixed my credit. I just gotten approved for this really big credit card. And I was like, I can put it on that. And I told my husband, because he's like, am I going to have to pay for this? And that kind of hit me in a kind of way. But I looked at him and I go, no. I was like, as long as I can learn and how to make enough money just to cover the payments, it'll be worth it.
Yes.
And so I put it all on that credit card. I paid in full for this $10,000 mastermind. And then I wasn't successful in the first month, but I kept going. I just kept my head down. I did the work and I showed up. And about a week before my time was up in that, I had my first client, and I collected $1,900, which was 50% of the contracted price. The contracted price was $3,800. I collected $1,900 and I was stupid excited. I was like, this is amazing. Look at what I can do. I made this. Like, this was my first check for my business. And then the next month I made $7,700 collected. The next month I collected $12,000. I'd contracted over $20,000. The next month I collected $20,000 and I contracted more. I don't even know my contracted because I stopped counting contracted and I only counted collected from then on out, because I recognized that just because you contract something doesn't mean it's necessarily going to follow through. And so from then on out, and then in my first 6 months, I had collected $100,000, 6 figures. And that was my first 6 months in business. And it just set a precedent for me that, first off, we can do hard things. Yes. And secondly, anything is possible.
Yes.
And if you don't have the skills, you can learn them. If you take the skills that you currently have, it is more valuable than you think. You just have to find the people and talk to the people who actually find your current skills valuable and start there. And then we can expand.
Yes.
And this has nothing to do necessarily with the 7 emotions, but since you asked.
but this is really very important, because when I read the fact that during COVID, you helped over 350 businesses, and, your business grew during COVID. People will think that you didn't do anything. You just came, one day, just boom, COVID, but here I am. But people need to see that you didn't just wake up. There's a story behind it. And I love what you said. You have to invest in you. Look at the investment. It's some money, because there are times I ask people, so you have this business. So what have you invested in the development, in your development? Say, oh, I don't have money. I'm like, so what are you doing to no, I cannot afford it. So, but what you said is, if you need the skills, you have to go learn the skills. It is what it is. So thank you for really sharing that.
Yeah.
So
one of the very first, just on a side note, for anyone who says that they don't have money, get approved for credit. If your credit is garbage, if you're swimming in debt, get approved for credit. Because if you ever qualified for credit before, then you know how to acquire money. You've already set a precedent that you know how to acquire money, and credit is just leveraging other people's assets or leveraging other people's money. And so apply for credit and jump into something that you are willing to go all in on. And I really love this advice that one of my entrepreneur friends gave his son the other day. He said, think on it for 24 hours before you buy. And if you still want it 24 hours from now, then buy. Do that with the mastermind or the course or the program that you're wanting to help you up level. Do that with that and make sure that you're willing to go all in on it. And I'm not telling you not to buy. I'm telling you, you need to buy something. And so go all in on something, because everybody needs a mentor. Everybody needs a coach. At any given time, I have multiple coaches. I think right now I have 3 different coaches that I'm listening to in different areas of my life.
Yes.
I had to do a little bit of counting for a second. I was like, this person, and this person. Yeah. So I have 3 right now. At any given time, I have multiple coaches who are a little bit further ahead than me, not people who are way further ahead, because they won't remember where I was at. Yes. They'll tell me things that won't even make sense to me because they're so far ahead. So I need the people who are just a little bit further ahead that can help me get to that next level and help me make those leaps and bounds and jumps. And that's kind of the hacking that we do.
Yes, very important. So, every entrepreneur will really love to crack that code of how to influence their customers to buy, to make a decision, so that you are not pestering them. You are not, how those calls are, how, some of them will have talked to their family members several times, and when they see him or her coming, it's like they want to dodge we've got I'm going to think about it. We've got the money objections. We've got I need to talk to my spouse, or I need to talk to my mom or dad sometimes, or I need to talk to my business partner. Like, I need to talk to somebody else and put the responsibility on them instead of on myself. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So how, so please help us. How do we really help a potential client to make that decision easily, so that it can translate into sales for us entrepreneurs? That's what we want to hear. Very important.
So there's 7 different emotions, and I know that you and I are on video right now, and we might put the video out somewhere, but I want you to imagine that I've drawn on my whiteboard behind me, because I have not. So you'll have to imagine. I might draw it if we get Bunmi talking in just a second. But that being said, the very first emotion that we're all in is being satisfied with something. when we are satisfied with something, and you can just imagine like a smiley face, a normal smiley emoji. We're going to think of emojis that we all use all the time. So we have a smiling emoji. This is our satisfied self. Our smiling self, our satisfied self is not trying to change anything. We're satisfied. We don't need to change anything. We like it. We're comfortable. Okay. So then the next emotion, and we're going counterclockwise in a circle. So the next emotion going counterclockwise, I always put the satisfied self up at the top left-hand corner. And then the next one that we have is being annoyed. It's that little sideways face, kind of like that wah, wah. And so when we're annoyed, we're irritated, but it's not irritating enough for us to do something about it. It's like if you fall down and you scratch your skin a little bit and you just kind of rub it and shake it off and move on. It's that kind of pain. It's not really that big. Or if your kids are doing something that's kind of annoying, you might say, hey, quit it. And if they don't, you're like, whatever. And you move on. So at that point, we're also not making a change. So then the next one is like the sad face, not crying, but just kind of like, this sucks. And that's when you realize the pain for the first time. And you're like, wow, this kind of sucks. And I don't really like this at all. So it's like you're moved out of that annoyed phase and you're now into this sucks phase. And then the next one is like that one where the eyes are downcast and the mouth looks like an upside down D or a sideways D or whatever. It's just like, and it's that you've hit rock bottom. So now we're at this rock bottom place. And at this rock bottom place, you would think when you talk to people that they're ready to make a decision because like it really sucks. It's terrible. They can feel all the pain, but they're not. They're not. They just want people to listen. If you haven't seen a video, there's a video on YouTube you can go find that says it's not about the nail. And this lady's sitting there talking and she's telling about this problem. She's like, I just have this pain in my head and it's just like there all the time and it's pounding. And then you see this guy like with this shocked look on his face and the camera pans around and suddenly you see there's a nail sticking out of her head. And he's like, well, it's just like, and she's like, no, don't say it. Don't say it. And she's like, it's not about the nail. And he's telling her that if she would just remove that, all of her pain would be gone. And a lot of times that's what we do on sales calls. That's what we do in our marketing. That's what we do when we craft our pitch for our offer is we're talking about the nail. And if you just remove the nail, it would be gone. But at the point that people are at that rock bottom place, they are wallowing and they just want to be heard. They are not ready to make a decision. But there is a way that we can take any one of those, the satisfied, the annoyed, the pain, the wallowing or rock bottom place. We can take those emotions and we can help them shift into that buyer's decision. And this is the next two emotions. So the first one is anger. And when we have anger, we are like, I'm fed up with this. I'm tired of this baloney. Or this, if somebody uses more seedy language, I do because my husband's in the military, but I want to respect the audience. And so they might say BS or something like that. So I'm not going to say the actual word, but they might say, I'm fed up with this. I am done with this. Something has to change. And it's at that point of anger, which if we ask the right questions, we can help people shift into that point of anger and help them see what they need to be angry about. So there's that. And then the next emotion that is also an emotion of change. And this is not, now we're around the circle. We're going up towards the top again. The next emotion after anger is like this determination. So if you've ever seen that smiling face with the still like, it looks like angry eyebrows, but it's smiling. It looks a little mischievous. That's the determination phase. That's when like, I don't care what comes up against me. I don't care what's in front of me. Nothing is stopping me. And I am going to make this happen. That is the other emotion that is required for change. And so with those two emotions, just so that we're aware, with anger, people are running away from. So that's where we set those away from goals. And with determination, people are running towards something. So that's when we're setting those running towards something goals. And you'll know where people are at based on how much time they spend in either their pain or in talking about the vision and the result. And you'll be able to recognize their energy. And if they're not in either one of those two places, we can help them shift by getting them angry about a common enemy. So as long as we can ask them questions that get them angry about that common enemy, we can help them change. And we can also use this hack for ourselves. So if you want to change something in your life, You need to either be angry or determined. You can shift your own emotions. Okay, so the last emotion, number 7, is after we've been angry, after we've been determined, and then we accomplish the thing, we are freaking excited. And so it's the letter D turned upside down, that big grin with all the teeth. That's the excited emoji, right? So we're very excited. At the point that we're excited, guess what? We are no longer trying to change anything because we love it. Mm-hmm. And then we become satisfied again. And the cycle starts again. And at any given time in your life, you will be in every single one of these emotions with some area of your life. So if you took stock right now, you could ask yourself, what am I annoyed with right now? What am I in pain of right now? What am I at rock bottom with right now? What am I angry about right now? What am I determined about right now? What am I excited about right now? What am I satisfied with right now? And if you go through that, you can look and see where you're at with those different things and know how close you are to changing those things, and also know where your priorities lie. Because whatever you're angry or determined about, those are your priorities, period, across the board. And so it's really helpful as an assessment for yourself. And it's also really helpful for you to understand what energy or emotion your buyers are having so that you can help them make that decision. Because the goal is never to just sell them and make money. I mean, yes, that is the goal. We do want to make money. We should be very comfortable with collecting and receiving and being open to taking in more money, because the more money we have, the more money we can give into ourselves, into our children, into our families, into our community, into the world. Yes. We can't give what we don't have. So if you don't have money, you can't help people who are poor.
Yes.
And if you want to be able to help your community rise up and level up, it takes money. Money is just part of the trade. It used to be where we would trade goods for goods. We don't do that. We don't work in a bartering world anymore. We work in a world that operates on money. So you have to have money to live and to grow and to survive. So be really comfortable with money. And then the next piece is knowing your emotions and where your priorities lie and helping yourself get to those proper priorities. And if you can do it for yourself, you can do it for others.
Wow. Amazing. Look, I hope you will rewind this. Our audience, I hope you will rewind this and you will listen to this again, even before you will use this with your client. I suggest that you use this for yourself. Use it with any situation that you are going through yourself, so that you understand how all these emotions, as she said, we all will go through these emotions. As you were going through this, Sierra, I was looking at some of the emotions and where I am exhibiting these emotions right now in my life. So this is very, very important. So before you can identify these emotions in your potential clients, you should be able to identify it in yourself. And then that will help you with questions that will help you move those clients from whatever the emotions are to that of anger, which they want to move away from, or towards determination. Am I correct?
Yes, you are.
Am I following you? Am I a good student right now?
You are an excellent learner. There. You're an excellent learner. Yes.
So towards determination, which can then lead to excitement. At that point, when they are determined that, you know what, nothing is stopping me, they will buy from you. At that moment, they will buy from you. You don't have to pester them. You don't have to push them. We are not supposed to be pushy, because Sierra, that is one thing I hear people say, I just don't want to be pushy. We are not supposed to be pushy, because when we help people understand where they are, and if somebody is not irritated enough to want to change, they feel that you are pushy. If you keep on telling them about your service every time, they feel like you are pushy, right?
So the way that I share with my clients is because one of the biggest things that I hear from people about social media is they're afraid of being spammy. And so in the same way of being pushy and being spammy, where your focus goes, your energy flows. So if you are afraid of being something and you say the words, I don't want this to happen. Our brain doesn't understand negatives. It understands the commands. It understands the basic words. So if we're focused on pushy, we will be pushy by default because that's what we're focused on.
Yes.
So you have to sit down, instead of saying like, I don't want to be pushy, you have to say, okay, well, if I know that is what I don't want, what is the opposite of being pushy?
Opposite of that.
Yeah. What's the opposite of that?
Yes.
And once you sit down and you decide what's the opposite of that and how you want it to be, then you focus on the opposite.
Yes.
And the same thing with being spammy, instead of saying, I don't want to be spammy, what's the opposite of being spammy? What do you want? Yeah. When I talk, people listen, because when I talk, I'm sharing things that are going to transform their life, and they love that. And if you think from that perspective, that is how you will approach the content you write. That is how you will approach the words that you speak. Your energy will shift. Your brain will focus on what you do want versus what you don't want.
Definitely. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So we are going to round this up, and I want to ask, do you have some resources that the audience can benefit from, that they can go somewhere, or, what can you give them so that they can
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have so many free trainings inside of my group. I would love to drop. First off, if you go to my website, you'll be able to find me on all the social media platforms. Facebook is where I'm most active, but my website is my name, seizure-free.com, and that's spelled CIERRALUECK. seizure-free.com. So if you go to seizure-free.com, you can find me on all the social medias. I also have a few things that you can download and get access to on there that are freebies, as well as things that you could purchase if you desire to purchase something. However, inside of our Facebook group, which right now the group is Group Leaders United, we might open up a new group at some point in the future, or we might shift the name or something like that in the future. But right now, our Facebook group, if you find me on Facebook, you'll find my Facebook group because I always have it pinned. Inside of the Facebook group, I have trainings, and there is a very specific training that if you go into my group that I would look for, and it's called my note card manifestation method. This is something that my husband and I have done for more than 10 years, I think more than 15 years at this point. With this method, we have manifested 4 houses. We have manifested cars, new cars. We have manifested friendships. We have manifested a downgraded surgery for my son. They originally were going to carve into his brain and take out a chunk of his healthy brain to get to the tumor. And then they came back 30 days later and they're like, hey, so we need to schedule your son for laser ablation, which is a really minor surgery. It's an in and out. The other one, he would have been in for at least a week in the hospital. He would have had a big recovery time. There would have been all kinds of follow up. With this one, it was so much more minute, and it was just incredible that he even qualified for it. And so it was nothing short of miraculous. That's what we've done with the note card manifestation method. It is very simple to use, and I shared it for free inside of my group. So you guys are welcome to go research that and watch that video and borrow. I don't want to use the word steal because so many people don't like the word. They don't want to steal. You won't steal it because I'm giving it. We won't steal it.
We'll just borrow it and use it.
Yeah, it wouldn't be stealing. And I told, people tell me all the time, I'm so sorry for taking up so much of your time. And I feel like I'm taking your time. And I'm like, you're never taking my time if I'm giving it. If I'm giving it, this is a gift, receive it.
Really, yes.
And so in this case, the note card manifestation method is also a gift. Go receive it.
Yes. And thank you so much for sharing, for giving us, this thing that you have learned. And I would suggest also, I will encourage you to go back and listen to this over and over again so that you can use this method to really engage your potential clients, and you can have a successful business. Thank you so much, Cierra. I really appreciate that. And Create Your Own Economy podcast is presented by Claro Growth Resources. We are an organization that promotes the growth and development of individuals. We work with organizations and businesses through coaching, mentoring, and training. If you are thinking of starting a business, but you're not sure where to start, you don't know whether you are ready, I invite you to go on my website. There's a 10-point questions that you can take to see how ready you are, go to clarogr.com/checklist. And you can just reach out to me and let's talk. Let's see how we can support you. And we'll see you on the next episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode. The best gift you can give me is by sharing this podcast with your friends, your family, and reviewing it, which will help this podcast to grow organically. If you want to create your own economy and live the life that you deserve, join my next workshop or schedule time with me. My purpose may as well be to help you on your journey. Visit clarogr.com/workshop. See you again next week.